So we've been through the valuation part of the chapter, and now we get to the fun part, I guess. This is the part where estimating the ending inventory when it's impracticable to count it sometimes. And there's several reasons that it could be impracticable to count it. One is that it's gone. This was the flooding up in Vermont. That's the inventory of books. Yeah. And then I've got a bunch of other pictures that, show what can happen to your inventory. That it's just not happy stuff, There can be floods, fires, theft. And if you look on Blackboard in the section about, impracticable reasons to, count the inventory, there's some pictures there. They're not all inventory. I mean, like there was a giant sinkhole right down the street from my house in Somerville. I had to put that in. It had nothing to do with inventory. It was just kind of, anyway, a sinkhole. It could have been. All right. So anyway, companies are supposed to take a physical inventory to verify their inventory records. And if taking a physical inventory is impracticable, then you have to approximate the inventory or estimate it. And so using the gross profit method, oh, I should probably put that up. Using the gross profit method is one way to estimate your ending inventory. It can also be used in other than disaster situations, like for interim reporting. It's sometimes used by the IRS to make sure that check for reasonableness, and in other words, less exciting reasons. Okay, so the gross profit method. I'm using the example in the book. I think it's page 456, where they start off with a beginning inventory of 60,000. They know they had purchases. They know this was their sales. And their gross profit percentage is 30% of sales. You notice that there's no ending inventory there because that's what we're looking for, and we're going to use this information to find it. Okay, so what are the basic steps to doing this? To work with the gross profit method, and you really have to keep track of what you're doing with this one too, you have to go back to our basic relationships where you've got the beginning inventory plus purchases gives you what's available. And usually we go less ending inventory gives us cost of goods sold. But we don't know the ending inventory because maybe it's gone or whatever. And so we're going to estimate the cost of goods sold, which will give us an estimate of the ending inventory. So we know sales less cost of goods sold equals gross profit. And if we have that gross profit percentage, we know that sales are 380. We can go 280 times the gross profit percentage will give us our gross profit. And so from gross profit, we can get our cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold, we can get our ending inventory. That may take a little, you may want to ponder that over a cup of coffee, okay? But that's how it works. Okay, so it's easy to confuse gross profit and cost of goods sold, and you end up with a really silly answer. You don't want to do that. So I come up with a little step-by-step process. Let's see what this step-by-step, oh, here we go. All right. So we're using that same information, beginning inventory 60, purchases, sales. Okay. So first of all, compute the gross profit. You're given the sales, you're given the percentage, so here's your gross profit. So far, so good. Then you want to compute cost of goods sold. So your sales minus your gross profit is going to give you your cost of goods sold. All right? So once you get your cost of goods sold, okay, so sales plus gross profit gives you cost of goods sold. Now you can compute your ending inventory because you get your beginning plus purchases available for sale. We're looking for ending inventory. We've got the cost of goods sold, okay, from here. And so if we go what was available for sale plus our cost of goods sold, we get our ending inventory. You obviously got to do a few of these before it makes sense, but if you sort of thoughtfully think through this, it might make sense. Okay, so the only real complication in this method is that this percentage, the gross profit percentage, has to be stated in terms of a percentage of sales for it to work. And the problem is that sometimes it's stated as a percentage of cost. So if you're given gross profit as a percentage of cost, as you will be in the homework, you must convert it to percentage of sales. And so I'm sure your next question is, well, how are we going to do that? And there's also a separate handout on this, which for those of you who have to really see something, it's right here for you to see. So if you start out and you've got the selling, here's the selling price, this is gross profit as a percentage of sales, same numbers, gross profit as percentage of cost. So you can sort of work your way through that and say, oh, okay, I kind of get that. And then if you're mathematical in inclination, basically these are the mathematical conversions. If you are given the percentage of cost, you take the percentage of cost divided by 1 plus the percentage of cost, and it gives you the percentage of selling price. You like a formula to think about it? I give you all different ways to figure this out. Do what works for you. I think this one's pretty easy. You just have to know that percentage divided by 1 plus that percentage gets you from cost to percentage of sales. Okay, so that's really the only complication there. And I think I'll do a separate video to just work through one of these.